there's been a lot of talk about recession, both from the media and through elements, I guess, in the macro economy. You mentioned US and China. Many are saying that we could potentially be heading to a global recession towards the end of this year, beginning of next year. Do you share any of these sentiments from a local Australian perspective in terms of the market?
Yeah, look, I think it's something that's a real possibility. So what can we do about that? Again, I think the biggest thing globally even, and plays out here in Australia as well, is the governments need to actually help stimulate the economy. And that actually means they need to be pretty consistent in the policies and what they're actually bringing to bear. What we hate in business is the knee-jerk reactions and not having consistency, because that gets harder for us to actually plan around. So I think certainly a lot of pressure here was around the housing market. I think that's certainly come back. One thing that is sort of against all of that is just where interest rates are at, and certainly, from our side of things, we've got some fairly long tenor debt, which is great, which gives us a lot of comfort around continuing to invest back in the business, and we are doing that. We're spending more money on research and development than we have in the past. We're spending more money on capital expansions as well. And a key part of that is, being able to invest back into the business, which is where the growth will come from. So even if the economy does start to turn down, sometimes there's an opportunity in that as well. So we just need to stay aware
of it. Yeah. So as a finance professional, if a recession had to hit this at the end of this year or early next year, would you put contingency plans in place for something like that?
So we are always looking at our risk side of things. So clearly it's one of the potential risks that you need to actually look at. And when we think about it in relation to just where we are from the overall balance sheet, how much exposure do we have, we look at it as to what would it mean potentially alongside pricing and demand for product, and therefore what would we do. We are in a fortunate situation, as I said earlier, that the underlying demand for a lot of our products continues to grow, given that it is in the healthcare space. So there's a bit of a consideration there to make sure that we continue to obviously meet patient demand. But it is something that we look at, and we do think about it in the context of, if things could go wrong, what would it mean? A little bit back to where you started around the predictive analysis side of things as well. So running scenarios and different Monte Carlo type of outcomes and probabilities associated with things is how we sort of look at the strength that we have in the organisation and where we want to go.